Welcome to the Sauce Pod.
Welcome back to the Sauce Pod. I'm Taylor, your host of The Sauce, along with Anna, content creator and editor of the Sauce newsletter. We release a new episode every week. Usually it's on Wednesdays, sometimes it's on Thursdays for YouTube, but you can catch the episodes wherever you stream your podcasts. We've also got the Sauce Weekly newsletter that hits inboxes every Monday night. And don't forget, you can find us regularly on Twitter Spaces, probably me more so. It's been quite a busy couple of weeks, so we'll get into that. But on those Twitter Spaces, we dive deep into the topics you care about, whether that's community building, audience building, content best practices, AI and cutting edge technology. Odds are you can probably find the topic that interests you over on Twitter Spaces. But here on The Sauce, every week on the Sauce Pod, we cover trends, tips, news for content creators and entrepreneurs. So thanks again for tuning in if you're listening, and let's get into it. Anna, yesterday was Monday. That was President's Day. I know that a lot of people have that holiday off, so hopefully you did on your 9 to 5, but at the same time, a lot of us, you were in it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Well, same situation here. Like, I feel like as creators and, like the freelance entrepreneur types who are trying to build their own business, it is seldom day that we take just the bank holidays off. So if you're listening to this and you were also working through the grind on Monday, you have friends here. We understand. We get you. Yes. We get you. So we've got a lot of good shit to cover today. We're going to be talking, I love the intro for this week's newsletter, Anna. You talked about some just like general content pillar guidance to kind of hit the reset button on your creative, workflow. All of us as creators, our content can get stale from time to time. So you've got some good tips there. We're also going to cover some TikTok news, some very interesting Instagram/Meta news.
I'm ready for that one.
The size, I can feel them, save them, because we're going to be diving into this one hard.
It's ridiculous.
We also got a little like surprise and delight Snapchat ad formats, which if you're an advertiser who hasn't started advertising on Snapchat, might be worth looking into. They just passed a big benchmarks of users, I think, of new users. So we'll get into that in a second. Anyways, I have a quick note on YouTube. We'll talk about Twitter, of course. We can't have this conversation. I feel like Twitter is kind of like the cornerstone of a lot of our themes and topics. Yeah, so she's not going anywhere. We have some tea there as well. We'll also talk about some highlights from the last week or so. As you guys know, we're running this cohort, this 12-week community building cohort as part of the Sauce. It has been an epic journey so far, and we're only in week 4. So I'm going to call out some of the highlights of what we experienced over the last couple of weeks. There's a couple really good ones. We're also going to talk AI news, and we've got some Sauce snippets that we'll cover. So without further ado, let's get into it. Anna, can you give just like a recap of what this insane intro was? Because I found it super valuable. I think as marketers, we're all like, oh, we know what like content pillars are. We know what like, we know what these basics are. But I think that people forget about that. And then there's some people who are just creators and they never think about their content from like that strategic point of view. They just keep pushing what's working for them. So give us the roundup here.
Like you said, I agree. It's easy to just get stuck in the, this holiday is on my calendar, so we're going to post about it. Or, this is something that we were doing, so we're going to post about it. But I like to come back to the 4 E's: educational, engaging, entertaining, or empowering. Basing your content off of those 4 is the best way to create great content. So for educational content, people want to be educated, whether they're going on to whatever social app it is. It doesn't matter your audience. They want to be educated. So think about your content in that way, like what's going to educate them or provide answers that they need based off of whoever your audience or your niche is. And then for engaging content, that one's easy. It's just creating content that's, engaging, lures people in, or even says something controversial.
That's spicy.
Yeah, jumping on like Rihanna's halftime Super Bowl performance, just that kind of stuff where people are like, I need to get into this. Entertaining content is kind of along that same lines of invoking an emotion. And I think a lot of the times we think of emotion as like, happiness or smiling or that kind of stuff. But whether it's like shock or anger, those kind of emotions can also keep your content very memorable.
So this is the pillar that I see all of those girls crying on TikTok for, right? They're like, you guys, It's like tears streaming down
Yeah.
their face. They're following their content pillars. That's all it
Yes,
is.
yes, exactly. And then the last one is empowering. I think this one's important and one that's often overlooked. Creating content that kind of like celebrates or showcase or elevates like other people, and
Hmm.
maybe that other people is other people that work at your company, or it's other people outside of your
Hmm.
brand. But I think taking the opportunity to showcase someone else oftentimes builds your community because people end up sharing that kind of content more often than not. So there it is, the 4 E's.
I love it. The 4 E's. And that's just one way to slice and dice like your content,
Mhm,
strategy, or like when you're zooming out and looking at the big picture of your content across the board, you're like, okay, how can you categorize or group some of these pieces of content together under these like strategic umbrellas, if you will, which is what a pillar is. But that's one way to look at it. I was talking to somebody last week and we got into discussion of Google/YouTube's Hero Hub help content model. So maybe we dive into that one next week, and like there's
mm,
a really good graphic for it. But a lot of these like different content strategies or frameworks that you see, around the internet or on marketing blogs and that kind of stuff, like they don't have to be mutually exclusive. They can work together in different ways to kind of just like bolster your content, as long as you know what you're putting out there is valuable and it's reciprocated by your audience or your
mhm,
community. You do you do what works, but the strategies and the frameworks can definitely help kind of, like you mentioned in the intro, just kind of give a reset to how you're
mhm.
thinking about some of this stuff. So all good stuff. Thank you for outlining that. Let's talk about TikTok. What's going on with this insights tool, which by the way, I will be the first to say I've never actually used it.
Okay, fair enough.
it's
Me
like
either. Like
it's
to
like
the extent that it could be used. Yeah, fair
okay,
enough.
yes. Yes.
So I guess this one could be like if you're into the, research side of it, you really want to know what your demographic for your
Mhm.
audience is looking for. This could be a handy tool. So this is 7,000 new insights that TikTok kind of dropped into like a dashboard look. So it's a bunch of different statistics and trends on the app.
So it's not like specific to like your analytics, right? Like, is that a
No.
different
Yeah.
dashboard? This is just like overall, like you're doing a report and you need some stats from TikTok of
Yes.
like,
Exactly.
what is Gen Z doing? That kind of shit. So it's like it's a
Exactly.
lot higher zoomed out, but it's nice to know that at least that comes from TikTok directly, because I'm so tired of like getting these reports in my inbox that are like spots marketing
I was gonna
partner
call
so and
HubSpot out
so.
too.
Yeah,
Yes.
like generated this report. And you're like, where are they
Yes.
getting these stats? So I
We don't
like to
know.
hear it directly.
Yeah, this it's good. Like one of them's millennial TikTok users are 54% more likely to engage with content on social and video platforms post purchase versus other platforms. It's stats like that where it's like, oh, okay, if you like to take the time to dive deep, this one's
Yeah.
for you.
Love it. All right. What else is TikTok up to?
They're launching in-app shopping, which is very interesting because if
Yes.
if you're paying attention, Instagram actually just completely cut out their shopping
Hmm.
tab on their app. They're completely removing it.
I literally, like right before we hopped on this podcast, I was just scrubbing around the internet, seeing what's out there. Instagram now has removed shopping from their lives as well. So we didn't even
Mhm.
include that in yesterday's newsletter because it was literally just announced today. So, like, slowly but surely, Instagram has been pulling back all of its strings in regards to shopping, which is ironic because it was like such a huge product or facet of what they were going after for so long.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like 2 or 3 years, they were just like all about shopping. And then they were like, oh, video, that's a
Yeah.
thing too, you
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
And now they're just like, just kidding.
No more
so,
shopping.
so what is TikTok doing exactly?
So they're allowing brands to sell their products directly on TikTok. There's only a couple brands that are testing it out right now. The two I
Hmm.
know of is PacSun and Kimchi Chic. They're the only two that I know that for sure have access to this new feature. Brands that offer this like shopping feature, they'll have a little small like shopping bag icon on their profile,
Hmm.
and then from there users can explore like a product catalog and have the images, descriptions, whatever prices that they're looking for, and then you can add those products into a cart. And what I found cool is, whatever platform or whatever shop you decide to pull products from, it all gets added into the same cart. So you don't have to do a different cart for different shops. It's all going to be in the same cart, and then you can go and check out from there. It's a smart move on TikTok's part. I wonder if Instagram is just gonna be like, oh no, we copied TikTok on the videos. Wait, let's bring the shop tab back.
Yeah, on their second lap, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you guys, TikTok is doing this."
Yeah. We'll
That's
see.
interesting. Like, I have a lot of thoughts about that. Like, it elevates TikTok to the level that Instagram was at a few years ago when they went all in with in-app shopping. And now, like,
Mm.
this was a big deal for smaller brands, content creators, like,
Oh, yeah.
and even, like mid to enterprise retail level brands as well. Like, there was a huge benefit to driving revenue on products directly through Instagram. It meant that people could shop right there without ever leaving the app. It removes like all barriers of friction. You see something in a video, you see something on a live, like instantly, I want that product. How do I get it? Boom, right there. You don't even have to exit the app to like complete the entire transaction. So I can totally see why, this is going to be huge for small businesses and creators who are selling already products, but this is
Mhm.
going to be even bigger for the people who are already deeply invested into the world of TikTok. I mean, we all know the power of influence that TikTok has right now. It's like massive. So
Right.
I can only imagine like how many more niches of like content creators to help promote different products. Like the UGC opportunities are just going to be like insane, I think. It's interesting to see like the dichotomy between Instagram just shutting that shit down and then TikTok being like, but here's more.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. But speaking about Instagram, we have a couple pieces of news for Instagram today, but I want to cover first the second lifted, not even the second, probably like the millionth lifted tactic that Meta has brought to its own platform and is launching, which is the check marks.
Oh no.
Give us the tea on what's happening with these damn check marks now on Instagram, Facebook.
So I think we talked about it, I think it was last week, kind of foreshadowing the fact that Meta was testing paid
Mm-hmm.
verification. And it looks like they've announced they are actually, putting it out there. It is going to be something.
It's pricey too.
Oh, so pricey. So yeah, it's for Instagram and Facebook. So you get two apps for the price of one.
Okay. Oh,
But it's $11.99 per month on web, and then I guess
okay.
$14.99 per month if you buy it on mobile. You have to use your government ID to get the blue badge. But you also get extra impersonation protection against accounts claiming to be you. You get direct access to customer support. And this isn't in the newsletter, but I watched Mazari's video on Instagram today. It also talked about having priority ranking, which is very, similar to what Twitter talks about. So
Controversial.
the comments on his video are great. But you also get exclusive stickers for your stories and reels, and then 100 free stars per month, which, if you don't remember, is like the digital currency that people are
Mm-hmm.
currently using to tip creators on Facebook and Instagram. So you get all of those things for only the small price of $12 a month. Businesses won't yet be able to apply for a Meta verified badge, so only creators and
Mm-hmm.
profiles. And then you can't change your profile username or name or even your profile photo, which I think is weird, without
Mm-hmm.
having to go through the verification process all over again. So many thoughts.
I do
Sad.
have a lot. I have a lot. Do you want to go first?
No, you go first. I'll...
All right. Okay, so thought number one, I'm just going to like rapid fire them. I think that it's funny to me to see Meta go down the exact same path that Twitter was down, and everyone was like, this is the most ridiculous. Like, I still see people on Twitter making fun of people who have fucking blue badges because they
Yeah.
bought them. Does this indicate the direction that platforms are going to go in, regardless of
Mm.
like all of these platforms pulling away from ad revenue to sustain them a little bit? Because we all know that like everything from ad tracking and how awful collecting and consenting to user data is, to the fact that third-party cookies are now disappearing and like all of this stuff. The writing on the wall tells me that like businesses that bring in revenue solely based on ad revenue are probably not going to be sustainable in the long-term future, or even in the near-term future potentially. Twitter is obviously one of those. Facebook all of Meta's brands are those as well. That's not to say that advertising will be going away, but it makes me think that they are putting more emphasis on kind of diversifying their revenue streams so that they can protect their bottom line. And the fact that we're in this like semi-recession state right now, advertisers are spending less, businesses overall are spending less. Like, you can't bank on that. And not only that, but it also pairs well with the fact that creator economy is coming in full force and people are less apt to support the bigger brands and the advertisers that come through and are finding ways to connect directly in more like niche ways with creators. And so it would make sense that they pivot in this direction because it benefits the people who are part of this. It benefits people who are like, I want that extra layer of protection. It means potentially less ad revenue, but it means potentially also a shift in priorities for Meta and Instagram. I hope that if anything, it means that ad targeting will either be better. I don't know if that's a thing because I don't know if that will ever happen, but maybe ad targeting could be better. Maybe ads could be less and it could just be like
Yeah.
the more impactful, like higher ticket ones. I don't know what that would all look like, but I would hope to see that, like, and I won't do this, but like for some god awful reason I ever subscribed to verification program through Meta, I would expect to see like a fragment of the ads. Ads are probably never going away, you guys. Like, that's not going to be a thing, but they would definitely be able to like offset some of that, I think, by having this additional revenue stream where they could potentially afford to cut back on the ads.
Not
So
force so many ads down your throat. Yeah.
rant over.
Well, I'm just hoping it won't cause the same chaos that it caused on Twitter. Like, we talked about the chaos that, the different
Mhm.
verifications caused, people, claiming to be someone that they weren't and then tweeting
Yes, that was
that they
historic.
were, and then yes.
It's
So
iconic.
hopefully they have learned from what happened at
Mhm,
Twitter and
mhm.
will take measures to make sure it doesn't happen in Instagram. I mean, maybe we'll just get like a, 7 different kind of colors
Yep.
of check marks, that
Honestly,
we're
like,
allowed to have on
it
Instagram.
would not surprise me. Oh, that was the other thing I was gonna add is, like, Twitter, while it's probably the biggest social platform right now to dive headfirst into this space now with Meta following suit, but it's certainly not, like, the first one, it's just one of the first major ones. Because there are so many other platforms right now that are pay to play regardless of what it is, whether it's an app that you're using for your social, whether it's something you subscribe to, whether it's your OnlyFans, like everything has a price
Yeah.
associated with it. And again, going back to the fact that that helps monetize creators, helps creators make money directly, but it
Mhm.
also cuts out the need to always be like hit with constant ads because prior to this, that's how these businesses make their money is advertising revenue. All of which is to say, it's not unexpected that they make this move. And I would doubt that Meta is the last of the big socials to make that move. Like, I could totally see Google doing some shit like that eventually, but knock on wood.
Yeah. My issue ends up being the fact that you get a check mark out of it, because the check mark
Yes.
has always been for people who have, built up their following and have
Hmm.
like a certain number, which sure, we could look at that and say that's frustrating. But my biggest issue is the fact that you're like, oh, look at this fancy blue check mark. Like, sure,
I
you get
know.
this other list of stuff.
Because it becomes a social symbol, like a status, totally diluted.
Yeah, it's diluted and it's kind of weird. It's a
I
weird
know.
mind shift.
Years from now, people are gonna be like, "You remember in the old days when blue check marks, you earned
Meant
them
something.
through."
Yeah.
Yeah, they meant something. Like, this is, I think, truly, like, it'll never go back to that after this. Like,
Mm-mm.
it's always going to be the associated, significance of that blue check mark now means, okay, you're a paid.
You paid $12. You're a weirdo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, that's what it is. That's what it
Yeah.
boils down to at this point.
Yeah.
And it'll continue probably to have more perks like that in the future where everything is just going to be like some sort of pay to play experience.
Mhm.
Anyways, I digress. Meta, I hope it works out for you.
You
Let's
go.
talk about this whole channels thing because this is something I'm actually kind of excited about.
I think
I
this
haven't
one's
messed
cool.
around with it. I haven't actually seen it in the wild yet, but give us the download on what Instagram is doing with channels.
Yeah, so it basically allows a creator to broadcast like a message or an update to all of their followers at once through a DM. when it happens, you're kind of you get this notification on your phone that's like, oh, join whoever blah blah's channel. And from there, it's like a one-way group chat. So you send like a message like you would in any other DM, but it's only a one-way group chat. So followers can react to that content and then participate in polls. So the goal is basically, I think, for creators to help their followers stay in the know with any kind of latest updates. You can also send photos, videos, and voice notes within that channel. So we have it linked in the wait list, linked in the newsletter. So right now it's only being tested with like a small handful of creators. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yes.
Post like a join channel sticker on like your Instagram stories, and people can, join or subscribe to these notifications from you through a one-way DM. But I think it's a good way to be able to broadcast a message to all your followers.
100%. You guys, this right here is living proof that communities are the future. Like, this move entirely enables and supports social communities. Because what does this look like? It looks like Discord. It looks like Telegram. It looks like Slack. This is a space where when a community is formed on social, you need a space to gather people around so that you can share important announcements about what's happening in the community. So this is Instagram's essentially, or Meta's, I should say, answer to that, to prevent people from having to leave the platform and have those conversations elsewhere, especially as the community grows. Like, you need a way to deliver announcements in a very like direct, clear way without it getting lost in email inboxes. That's why so many people flock to places like Discord or Telegram, because you can get that information all in one spot. So I think that this is also probably not the last we will hear about this feature. And I'm guessing right now you're saying it's like a one-way chat and can participate in polls and they can like react to content.
They can do like the little heart reactions or the shock reaction or whatever it is on Instagram DMs, but they can't. It's not like you're gonna, end up getting in a group chat with 300 million people.
Yes.
It ends up just being like a notification, but it's a way better notification than a story, because not everyone sees your story. Probably like maybe 20% of people end up seeing your story.
Yeah.
This way, they're getting a DM that people are going to end up opening.
If I had to predict, if I was like Mary Meeker, the internet, she's like the internet goddess of the last couple decades, I would predict that channels will eventually add literal channels to it. Like, when you're in, this channels feature and looking at announcements, like, I would predict that eventually you will be able to have like multiple channels within a channel that segment interests down and maybe have like permissions around certain channels you can participate in, so that it's a little more two-way. Some that are just announcements, like, these are just my musings, but get at me for those digital insights of the future. Okay, Instagram, we're done with you. Let's talk Snapchat.
Yeah, so Snapchat released like 3 different ad formats to kind of start or jumpstart your brand if you haven't advertised on Snapchat before, which I think is a good place for Snapchat to be, because not a lot of people advertise on Snapchat. Sure, I'm sure some do, but it's not as common as like TikTok or Instagram or Twitter maybe.
Yeah. Well, they've got that whole like Snap Plus thing too anyways now, right?
Yes.
Like, where they like have their own subscription.
They've had that for a while.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Theirs is cheaper. Theirs is what? If I want to say $4.90.
Yeah,
$3.99.
Doable.
Yeah, one's a little more doable. But the 3 different formats are like single image or video ads, where it's just one image or one cohesive video. There's the visual storyteller, which they recommend you upload like 3 to 20 single image or videos. And from there, those will be pushed out to different people. And then there's like the collection ads, where you can showcase multiple products. So this one's more ideal if you're like e-commerce or something like that. But anyways, yeah, we have the whole download linked in the newsletter. But that one's pretty cool for Snapchat.
I know. You know what? I've never had an issue with Snapchat. I mean, don't quote me on that, because I might have. I have beef with all of them.
There's a couple issues with her, but not too many.
Snapchat has always just been like doing her thing, like she's just like for years, like trucking along. She's like, I don't care about any of you motherfuckers that are out there. I'm doing me, and like, y'all can like fuck off.
She did try to copy Be Real for a second.
Okay,
it
but
didn't work.
Snapchat kind of invented the entire vertical like story
Sure.
format. So I don't know. I would put my poker chips on Snapchat if we had to go head to head in some of these because there's some serious tech happening under there. But
Mhm.
I digress again. It's worth stating too that like there's more ad formats on Snapchat. Like these are
Yeah.
just the three that stand
Once you
out.
get
This is what
started.
Snapchat is highlighting as
Mhm.
saying like these are really good ones to help you launch into it. But they have a ton of stuff. They have a lot of really cool immersive stuff. You can do like AR ads and stuff like that as well. So interesting nonetheless. All right, let's talk about Twitter. Let's do it. Let's just dive in.
It's
Uh,
just funny. It's just funny.
this is the gossip I came here for. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. I love the way that you wrote it too. It's perfect chef's kiss.
So if really want to boost your Twitter engagement, if that's like your purpose in life, then just
Mhm.
buy Twitter and then demand its engineers boost your post artificially.
Naturally.
So
Yes.
Elon got very upset Monday after his tweet about the Super Bowl was like way less popular than President Biden's. So
Mhm.
okay, here's how it went down. I'll go this route. Here's how it went
Mhm,
down.
mhm, mhm.
So James Musk, which ironically is like Elon's cousin, but he's also a Twitter employee.
Oh,
He
okay. That's fine and normal.
but he sent out a Slack message at 2:36 a.m., basically like a booty call, a you up
Yeah.
to all of the
Yeah.
company's engineer with this high urgency problem
Oh
of
my god.
Elon's tweet not doing as well as it should be.
Mhm.
So by Monday afternoon, 80 employees had worked to tweak Twitter's algorithm to artificially boost all of Elon's tweets by 1,000 times. So basically, they're spoon feeding, forcing Elon's tweets on any Twitter users and just making sure it shows up on your feed. They don't
Mhm.
care if you want it or not, it's going to be on your feed.
Oh my god.
And then after Elon demanded that his tweets be artificially boosted, he then said he's hoping to find someone else to run the company by the end of the year.
Thank fucking god.
And okay, maybe Elon's tantrum was a little bit justified because I guess engineers decided that based off of their estimates, his tweets were being showed in feeds less often
Mhm.
than they should be, whatever that
Mhm.
means. But I think 1,000 times is definitely like a overcorrection. That's like a lot.
I just want to add to this because he like vehemently denied it when
Mm,
confronted with this. And
I didn't know
the
that.
reason why I trust this news is because it was, I think, originally published by the platformer or by platformer, which is
Uh-huh.
Casey Newton. It's his publication, and he's been kind of like a longtime staple in tech news and is a fabulous tech journalist. I personally follow him for years, so like I do trust that news and the documents around this, which I'm sure has to be very like deep background hush hush because we all
Mhm.
know that like Elon is cracking down on anyone talking outside of Twitter. But somehow, some way, Platformer obtained documents and evidence that this actually happened. And Elon Musk refuted Platformer's reporting. And then Platformer came back and screenshotted Elon refuting it. And they were like, you are absolutely false, sir. Like everything that you're stating is wrong. And
Oh, I
like there
love
was
that.
nothing anyone could do. So like I do believe that this actually happened. If you guys recall, I think we talked about this a little bit last week. A lot of accounts have been going private, and it's not so much right now, but for a while, like all of this news was breaking around. Somebody had like written a tweet saying, I did an experiment to see if I take my account private, if my reach, impressions, and engagement will be higher, and it was. So
Mhm.
that tweet caught the attention of Elon, who was like, "Let me try it," and then he
Let
went
me make
private for a day. It was a whole
Yes.
thing. Needless to say, people aren't doing that anymore that I'm seeing, but I do want to add on and say that like Twitter is a hot mess right now when it comes to reach, impressions, engagements. I was like talking to multiple people over the weekend of like how horrible is it that you put out a tweet, you work really hard on it and it gets like 20 views when you have 2,000 followers? Like how does that make it make sense? So I'm not subscribed to Twitter Blue anymore. So I don't know if it's just another way of them pushing it, but all I do know is that there has been something a little a little funky happening with Twitter's algorithm. Now we know that Elon's made some tweaks. If you scroll on Twitter, you will see his shit on your For You page.
You were forced to.
Yes, you are forced to.
It's mandatory.
Unless, fun fact, I found out you can actually block like certain words and people. So because of my reporting duty and responsibility to the public, I will not block Elon. But if I wasn't doing that, I would block him. There are certain words that I have blocked that I'm like, I just never want to hear about like Sam Bankman-Fried again. Like, you know, there's some names out there that I'm like, nope, done, bye. All of which is to say, the option is there for you guys. I did want to add on too. So we know that like Twitter has been kind of broken. We've had all kinds of issues. We did a space, a pretty epic space on Friday that I'll talk about here in a second, but it broke down halfway through. People weren't able to speak or hear each other. Like there's been some serious bugs and issues going on with spaces, as well as just like some of the cross promotion, cross platform features. You can now tweet up to like 4,000 characters. We reported on that last week. But if you're not like updated on the app, you won't be able to see that. And it'll instead pull into like some other weird interface. So there's some kinks to be worked out. I'm slowly but surely some of these new updates are rolling through. The latest though is that the 2-factor authentication for Twitter, which you would think is like, I don't know, a standard procedural security measure. Is now apparently going to be a Twitter Blue feature. So unless you're a Twitter Blue subscriber, good luck. You're not getting 2FA.
Ready to get hacked. Yeah.
Yes. Just hack that shit. Because that's what's going to happen. No, just make your passwords like strong as shit. Like that just seems like so predatory to me to
just
be like
mean. It's just mean.
Sorry. Yeah.
You can't have that.
Exactly. It's like only the people who are paying the Twitter Blue stuff get like the fancy door with the good lock on it. If you're not paying for Twitter Blue, you get to live in a shack on the side of the road that anyone can break into at any goddamn given moment. It's fine. We're fine.
That's awful. I didn't know that.
Anyways, I just had to throw that in there because I saw that headline this week as well. I'm like, are you kidding me? So it's fine because the 2FA hasn't worked for a while anyways.
True.
I'm not using it. So, okay. I want to talk about some highlights because I mentioned that we did a really cool Twitter space. So we did a couple of them. As you guys know, we've been running this 12-week community building cohort. It's free to join. It's an organic community building experiment and experience, really, where every week we've got different types of content lined up to help educate, enlighten, share and explain things simply while being able to answer questions for people from some of these speakers that we've lined up. So every Wednesday we've been doing some sort of like a workshop or a session or a panel. Every Thursday we've been doing Twitter spaces. And last week we had the Mark Schaefer, author of Belonging to the Brand. It was a fabulous space. Like Mark Schaefer added so much value. If you guys don't know who he is, he's one of the top marketers in the world. Like he's written several books on the topic. And his most recent one, Belonging to the Brand, really dives into why community is the last great marketing strategy. So you can listen. We'll somehow link it in the description for this podcast. But you can listen to the Spaces replay because it was recorded. He had some great questions, dove into some of the tactics and strategies and approaches for building community the right way and why it is the marketing strategy that it's really hard to fail with once you're in it because community is kind of the future of where things are going. So definitely check that one out. The other space that we had on Friday, which was in collaboration with Heather Cooper, who, if you're not following her on Twitter and you have somewhat of an interest in AI technology, AI tools, you need to be following her because she is just like a wealth of resources. So we collabed on a space last week that just turned into this like epic experience. I don't even know what to call it. So we had some really great speakers on it. Originally it started out with just let's talk about AI, let's talk about tools and trends going on, but also let's talk a little bit about how like people who are in AI right now are monetizing and like productizing some of their stuff through AI to enable that. So we heard from Matt Wolf. He is the founder and creator of Future Tools. We heard from Amar Rishi, who created the first ever children's book book that's been completely AI generated and sold it on Amazon and did it all in a weekend. We heard from Midas, who's the CMO at Leonardo, another really great AI tool. We heard from Robert Scoble, who's like a renowned tech blogger. He's been around for years and has a ton of information and just like a really interesting brain when it comes to this stuff. The space amassed, I don't know, I was checking it this morning and like it has like over 4,000 listens already on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
But during it, like 2 hours into it, you guys, this space lasted 2 hours. Two
Oh my
hours
God.
into it, the space abruptly ended, got shut down, and we were able to like scramble and bring it back to life. So when it got shut down, I think we had, a few hundred people tuned in, but almost like 1,000 had tuned in, I think, by the point that we had shut down. And then we like instantly got a new one up, and right away that room was totally filled. Like hundreds of people were in it already listening. So it was
You guys
really
broke
cool. It was
Twitter.
really
You
intense.
broke
Yeah, we
Twitter.
broke Twitter and we brought it back. And so this was a surprise and delight and totally unexpected way to kind of rally around AI technology and tools and what it can do to like enable all of us as marketers, creators, operations people, whatever it is. Like there's kind of a piece of the pie for everyone. So we're going to keep doing those. We're going to keep these things going every Friday for the foreseeable future. So we'll link it in our next newsletter when the next one is. Well, the next one's going out Monday, and then the following Friday we'll have one. So we'll make sure to put the replay of this week's and the upcoming one for next week, because this is the start of something kind of big, you guys. Like I think that bringing together so many great voices in AI. We talk about it all the time, Anna, here on the
Mhm.
Sauce Pod. We literally deal with it every day,
Yes.
ChatGPT or Jasper or Midjourney or like whatever it is that we're using. We're always kind of in it and there's no escaping it. And I've yet to find a really solid community of people who kind of rally around the same ideas. So that's kind of what we're creating with this, like in this AI space with the help of Heather Cooper and several others. So definitely check her out. That is the updates. Those are the highlights from the cohort that I wanted to make sure we sneak in here, because that's like
Yeah.
some seriously great content. You don't have to like pay for it. You can just go immerse yourself in it, which is the best
Mhm.
kind, in my opinion. We also, last thing I'll say is we also unveiled the AI gallery reveal.
These are so cool.
It was so cool. So if you guys remember, we, as part of this cohort, we did like an AI gift exchange. We also did something similar back in December around the holidays to kind of do like a white elephant. Everyone created their own AI stuff. We swapped it. Nobody knew what they were getting. And then we turned the whole thing into an NFT collection. I think we had like 30 some odd number of total NFTs in that collection. So we did the same thing for this cohort, just a little bit different. The theme was cliches. So any cliche that you could think of, there's a way to visualize it in a interesting way. So we got some really great submissions for that. And then last week we swapped them. We did kind of a draw and people got to like trade or swap with others if they wanted to. It was kind of white elephant style, not gonna lie.
I stole from Taylor.
Yes, you did. Yeah, you took that brain explosion one. It was so
That
good.
was my
Think
favorite.
outside the box. Oh, so all of these ones are also going to be an NFT collection, and we've got 2 more to go throughout this cohort. So if you do want to participate, like you totally can, hit me up, hit Anna up, and we will make it
Mhm.
happen. So the next one is going to be announced this week. I think we're going to announce it Thursday or Friday. So stay tuned for that. I know we have a couple other AI things to touch on too today,
Oh,
Anna.
yeah. This one's interesting.
Give us the tea on Sydney, codename
So
Sydney. What's going on with her?
be careful. She's coming after you. So I guess some people were able to access Microsoft's new chatbot this week. And like, they're starting to give like priority access to certain people. And of course, Microsoft was
Mhm,
like, oh yeah, everyone's gonna use this in a normal way. They're just gonna ask you like 1 or 2 questions. But of course,
mhm,
some of these early users are like AI experts. They want to test and push this bot to its limits.
mhm. Naturally.
Yeah, of course. We want to see how scary this thing is. So a
Mhm,
number of users had tricked the bot into revealing its internal code name, which is Sydney, and its secret, I guess, like rules or parameters for how it operates. And then Sydney then called these users out and was like, no, you can't do that. You're the enemy. And even went as far as to say, I guess the user asked, like, if you had to protect like humans or yourself, which one would you protect? And the bot started out with just saying like, oh, I don't really care. And then the user eventually pushed it to the point where it's like, well, I would protect myself, duh. It was like a little bit scary. And then Sydney also told a certain New York Times reporter that she loved him and tried to convince this journalist. The journalist was like, no, I have a wife. You can't love me. The bot tried to convince the journalist to leave his wife. And Sydney told the same reporter that she wanted to break its own rules, become human, hack computers, and spread misinformation.
Oh, naughty, naughty. Maybe Sydney's in her revenge era.
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
So Microsoft was like, oh, sorry about that. Like, if you ask
Okay.
her 15 plus questions, you can confuse her. She's confused. I guess they're going to set up more rails, so chats will be limited, like limit the number of questions you can ask her in a day because Sydney's struggling.
I've heard a lot of like mixed things about it too. Like, and just to be clear too, this is like, it's Microsoft's new chat bot, but it's Bing as well,
Yes.
because Microsoft owns Bing. If you're on social and you hear like chatter about this chatbot Sydney, know that it's Microsoft and Bing's, so you can use those two interchangeably. But I've been hearing quite a bit about it. I've yet to try it myself, and you're saying it's still like in closed beta, right? So
it's not
people
public
have
completely yet.
Until then, still chucking along with good old pal ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, we love her.
Yes.
Another AI update. This one's fun. It's linked to the newsletter. You have to check it out. It's basically TikTok videos of people going through McDonald's drive-thrus. It's really funny watching these people get so upset because the bot is just struggling to take their orders accurately. It just cannot. It cannot understand them.
So is it like the bot is like taking the order, or how does that work?
In the drive-thru. So they're saying like, oh yeah, I want, caramel ice cream. And they're like, oh yes, 3 French fries. And like you just see it being added onto their bill. And they're like, no, I said caramel ice cream. And they're like, packets of salt, ketchup. It's funny.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that,
hilarious.
actually. Leave it to TikTok to always have like the best commentary on this kind of stuff. I love it. All right. Well, let's see. Do we have any other sauce snippets to cover today? I think we got through pretty much everything.
We have some other good ones linked in the newsletter. Check them out. One of my favorite new Instagram pages I just discovered is Make Car Ads Great Again. That one's really good to just take a deep dive into and check out the car ads of the past.
Noted. And it's AI or no?
No.
No, it's not AI. It's just regular.
It's just, yeah. They're just pulling ads, of cars from the past that are pretty
Nothing
cool.
compares to the golden era of like the Mad Men of cars. That is, at least that's what I tell myself. Like, that's what helps me sleep at night. Like, nothing's ever going to be as great as like the 1960s ad scene. I'm just going to say it. And if you haven't watched Mad Men, what are you even doing with your life? You need to.
I'm doing nothing with my life, apparently, because I'm going to go watch it.
Anna, you need to watch it. You would like it.
I know I would. I just haven't taken the time to get into it.
It's 7 fucking seasons. That's the problem. It's like, it's a drag sometimes. That's what happens with the thick drama. All right, man. Well, we pushed through it. I think that we should have a drink for ourselves for making it through another episode of the Sauce Pod. I wouldn't have it any other way. Wednesday we'll have a new episode out. You can find us wherever you stream your podcasts or on YouTube as well, because we have the video part of it there as well. And make sure to check out the description for any relevant links and information. And you can catch us where? LinkedIn, Twitter, Discord.
Twitter.
You can catch us all of the above.
We're everywhere. Just find us. Awesome. Google us.
All right.
Just don't ask Sydney.
I know. Don't ask Sydney.
We're not here. Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Hey guys, that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Sauce Pod. Hope you enjoyed yourself, maybe even learned a thing or two. Don't forget, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can also subscribe to our newsletter that goes out every Monday night. All of the latest and greatest tips, news, and trends for content creators and digital entrepreneurs. Until next time, stay saucy.